It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Welcome.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
How'd that go for you?
Oh, dear. Thank you.
All right.
May 22nd.
May 22nd. 2012. I appreciate the intro.
Happy birthday, Mystery Mark.
Thank you.
Turning what, 24, 25?
Yes, yeah. 29, as everybody
29.
likes to say.
Oh,
so.
Dangerous age, 29.
Yeah. I can't even remember when I was 29.
Welcome, everybody in the chat room and around the world. It's another episode of Dart Talk, I think number 20 for the year.
Okay.
I
didn't know that.
Well, I number them.
Right.
That's the only reason I know. We have a lot of results. We have results from the Shoot the Rapids in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We have results from the DFW. Is it Dallas?
DFW Metroplex.
Yeah, Dallas
Open.
Fort Worth Metroplex Open over the weekend in lovely Dallas, Texas. And also we have results from the Nationals that took place on that Friday, where some people qualified to strap on some ice skates and go play the Winamau Masters.
All right.
And, hopefully either the ice melted from last year or they'll get a better venue. We're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is not only an official Cosmo distributor, but has by far the biggest and best traveling display of Cosmo products in North America.
Okay.
So any tournament directors out there, if you want the Dart Zone to come and stock your show, by all means, give him a call. You contact thedartzone.com. He's got an email link on his website, and we'll get better verbiage at some point. So anyway, welcome to the show. How was your weekend?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Nothing exciting. How about yours? Sounds like you had a pretty good time.
I had a great time.
Out in Grand Rapids?
Yeah, Grand Rapids is another bar tournament, so it's like 2 weekends in a row. But this bar I go to, I don't know, 3 times a year maybe, because I've played ADO regionals there, ADO regional finals. So I've probably been to this place 15 times over the years, last 4 or 5 years, and I've gotten to know the staff. I've gotten to know a lot of the players, and it's like a family reunion over there. And I set 2 personal records.
Okay.
Can I
yes.
pat myself on the
Let's
back?
hear them.
Number 1, on the negative side, I have now lost 16 consecutive diddles to Ray Carver,
16.
going back to Kentucky. And the fact that I count them is probably part of the reason I keep,
well, yeah, now every time you step up to the line, you're going to lose another one.
Complete, utter inability to hit a bull, but I hit them against other people.
Right.
So that's why.
Just not against Ray.
And
what was your personal record of losing diddles before 16 to Ray Carver?
I actually never counted because usually, I'm all right. I diddle okay. A lot of the double, I play doubles with a lot of different people, and usually they want me diddling. So, and it was funny. I played with Jay Barlow, and I was kind of outside complaining. I'm like, oh my God, I lost 3 more diddles to Ray. It's up to 16, and somebody's like, well, why didn't your partner diddle? And I thought about it. I'm like, I think the entertainment value of watching me miss the diddle against Ray and go mental was more fun for him than it would have been for him to actually diddle and hit it.
Probably.
Just enjoyed watching my misery.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jay Barlow. He's fun to play with. Yeah, I had a great time playing with Jay.
He didn't offer to diddle. He would, in his mind, he wanted to see your misery.
No, and we lost to Ray and Danny Delfino in both the men's finals in the cricket and the 5-0, and I blew the third leg diddle on Saturday. So Sunday, I'm like, I'm looking. He doesn't even move a muscle. He's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, he's gonna enjoy this.
Yeah.
But the personal record that I did set was that I won my first singles event while wearing flip-flops.
All right.
So,
have you tried that before and you've never won, or this was the first time in flip-flops?
Well, I've played league in flip-flops. This is the first time I ever played a tournament in them. I mean, it's hard because it's hard to line up your foot on the line. You know, I stand sideways and stuff, and you have to look down, and then, you know, there's like an overlap with the flip-flop in your foot for anybody who's worn flip-flops. So
why? Can I ask why you chose to wear flip-flops?
It was hot.
Oh.
It was like almost 90 in Grand Rapids on Saturday. I mean, the weather was gorgeous, and we had the best time. They have this huge veranda with, from what I'm told, is a big cedar tree. So everybody was like, you know, in between events or whatnot, hanging outside, you know, sipping cold iced tea and sitting in the shade of the cedar tree, and there was like a little breeze, and it was absolutely phenomenal.
I figured your shoes might have been with your hat. That's why you had to play in flip-flops.
I don't know what happened to the hat. No, it was just really, really warm, and so I wanted to wear shorts on Sunday, and I didn't bring any gym shoes. So I'm like, I'll
have to wear
go shorts and flip-flops. Yeah. So, no, it's great times. Right. Good, great people down there, and we have all the results from there, and we have results from Dallas. I don't know what to say about the Premier League. They had the finals of the Premier League last week, and I don't know. I guess I won't say anything about it.
That's it? Yeah. That's about all you can say?
I don't know how to characterize the play. I mean, Simon Whitlock threw a 9-darter in the semi and got through in the semi, and then the final was just sort of like whatever Phil Taylor needed to hit to beat the guy by 1 dart, he hit, but it wasn't like the spectacular display he put on last year where he went like 9-darter, 10-darter, and threw a 9-darter earlier in the match. I mean, it wasn't like
just enough to win this time.
Well, yeah, and we'll talk about that because that's an interesting little mental thing. Let me make a note of that because I had an interesting week, and I actually posted on Facebook that the rumors are true. I will be at the Bull Shooter this weekend.
Okay.
So Steve will go to a soft tip tournament. And actually, in preparation, I went to Michigan a little early.
Are you going to play, or are you just going?
Well, I'm going to play some, but I'm going to go because I don't really know what I'm doing. I maybe learn something by watching, you know, some of the people play that know what they're doing. Because there are differences. Now, in the 5-0, what they do, I guess, for the pros, or the AA pros, make it sound like a battery. But I'm on the AA Pro list. So we, I guess, for 01 play a split bull, double in, double out 501, which means that it's not the big 50-point satellite dish bullseye. It's like if you want 50 points, you got to hit the little black part.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure you're just throwing steel numbers now. Right, double in, double out, split bull. You're going to be scoring on the treble 20 instead of on the bull. So it's more like an 01 game. So maybe I won't stand there paralyzed, not knowing what to do. That'd be nice. And cricket's cricket.
Well, of course.
I'm not going to say anything else about cricket right now. Although I will say this: I know they had a lot of great players in Dallas over the weekend. The field in Grand Rapids was pretty tough. Ray Carver was there, Danny Delfino, some of the good Chicago shots were there. The best players in Michigan were there. And I don't think I've ever played in a cricket singles event where I saw so many 9 counts and 7 counts and 6 counts and 9 counts and double bulls against me. I mean, it went on for hours. No matter who I played, it was like guys are throwing 7 counts at some point. I'm like, oh, good. It's only 7.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of play, given the conditions, you're playing in this one place, I was absolutely astounded. And, like a good example, I played a guy, Brian Massey, who's, well-known in Michigan. He's been around for a long time. He's one of these guys that, doesn't play as often as he used to. Just, starts out 9, 7, 7, 7. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Honestly. This isn't... This is a steel tip tournament, right? I mean, the trebles aren't, So, I don't know. Let's
but obviously it didn't really deter
I was really
you from
impressed.
doing well over the weekend.
Because and that was one of the things I wanted to talk about is like, everybody, if you talk to a soft tipper, they get stats on all their games like as soon as the game is over. So they'll say things like, well, I average this or I average that. Steel tippers can never do that because you don't get that. So the way a steel tipper describes a cricket game is much different than the way a soft tipper will because you have no number that you could say.
Right.
And it's hard enough for me to characterize my own play. I always remember the misses. So even if I play good and somebody's like, "Oh, you shot great," I'm like thinking, "Well, I missed that, I missed that, I missed that." So, it's hard to agree. It's an objective.
You remember
totally
your
objective.
misses and everybody else's 9 and 7 marks.
Yeah, and apparently some people remember the stuff I hit,
right.
which is all like over my head. So I don't know. And I caught a cold too, so careful. But on Wednesday night, I went out to play soft tip. And I tried a new set of soft tip darts. It seemed pretty good. Got tips on that stuck in the board. And I was playing on a machine that is like one of these new generation soft tip machines that have all these really cool features. And we'll have to get somebody on here to explain these better than me because I only did it once. But they have built-in cameras. So the machine can see you at the line. And also it has a camera on the board. So literally, this company called Shelty has like something where they can actually have a remote referee, and they actually tape segments of your match. It's got a little complicated. We'll have to get somebody on to explain it, but it's pretty cool.
Do they have you as a video too? Do you see yourself, or just the camera just the board sees you? Do they show you, like off to the side?
No, they didn't display like looking in a mirror, you mean?
Right.
No. But apparently what you can do, and I didn't have time to do it, is I could have actually played somebody in another country.
Right.
And then the camera will show me him, and then my camera will show him me, and then you play like a remote match. And I was talking to a guy, Frank Detman, in Michigan. He's one of these guys that is playing these online darts, and he swears by them. He says it's great.
Yeah, you said that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and I said I would try it, and I haven't had time. I've had tournaments every weekend, but the soft tip thing, I guess, is the same thing. You play remote matches with people. And I got to see, it's just, there's all these ways to play now that I'm just sort of like, whatever happened to standing next to somebody and saying, "Hey, show me one."
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm playing with Bill. And Bill is playing this, it's called a virtual league, where what you do is you play your games whenever you feel like playing them. And it'll take your best 5 or your best 7 games, and then put your averages against your opponent's best 7 games, and then I don't know how they figure out who won. So we're playing cricket, right? And I'm like, well, okay, so basically you're not really playing to beat me. You're playing to get the highest average you can. And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, don't shoot at the 20s. Just shoot at the 19s and the 17s. And, I'll shoot at everything else. And the minute your average is really high, I'll close everything. And, because, I play a lot more than Bill does.
Right.
So it's much easier to do it that way than, so I try to end the game when he's at his highest average. And it's this whole layer of like, what am I playing here? And that was the thing that struck me about the Premier League, is the one thing that a league like that takes away is the ability of you, when your back is to the wall, to hit the dart that counts.
Right.
There's no way to quantify that, and we're going to talk about that probably next week. There's no way to quantify when push comes to shove, you kick it into another gear, and that's what saves you. Or you're playing kind of a patchy leg or something, but then somebody makes a mistake and you take out like a big out or something. When you have that ability, it's not going to show up in an average. You know what I mean? So, it's just sort of a weird thing that I thought of. But the one thing that was cool about the Shelty machine is it had like a laser beam that shot out at your feet and showed you where to stand. And apparently if you went over the line, it would
you got a foot fault?
Yeah, you get a foot fault.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You get a foot fault, and then like your darts don't count or something. So it was kind of like, well, it was pretty cool. The whole thing was like, it was new to me. And
right.
It was pretty cool.
But pretty neat.
Yeah, bells and whistles. And I'm like, I can see why people would like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, from a competitive standpoint, you got to hit the button before you bring your darts. And the last time I played soft tip, I had a hard time literally pulling my darts out of the board where the board starts to tip over on me. And I'm like, and I'm raw.
Right.
Because, whatever. So my points weren't broken in or what have you. So that was kind of funny. But let's what results you want to do first?
Well, I think we should do the disclaimer first before we do any results.
You got to remind me to do the disclaimer like way
earlier
in the show. You call that a roll? There's a rant coming too.
Well, we definitely better play the disclaimer then.
Cranky mood.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits. Any remarks resembling anyone living or dead is purely coincidental and in no way represent Mother Earth, Father Time, Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Fester, all organized religions, independent contractors, official friends of the show, the North America Professional Dart Alliance, the Undead, the Grateful Dead, or Sharon D. Butler.
Okay, and there's our disclaimer.
All right, I like it.
One other cool thing from Grand Rapids, where this must be the one show that we'll have to delete from the archive because I'm going to end up bragging. It's going to sound like I'm bragging for an hour. So get this. Friday night, it's a draw, and, I'm just kind of wandering around. And this woman says, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" It's very nice. And this, woman, kind of older than me, not real tall, like 5'3" or something. And she's very nice, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you," very polite, "but can you tell me why I can't hit a bullseye?" And I'm like, I don't know. Go ahead, throw some darts. Let me take a look. So I watch her at the line, and her darts are getting about halfway to the board, and then they're just starting to
wobble.
It's actually yaw. They're starting to go a little bit sideways. So I'm like, I'm like, well, throw 3 more. And I think she threw like 9 darts, and I'm like, well, I'll tell you. You got a somewhat unorthodox way of throwing, but you throw it the same way every time. Your problem is your darts are too light. They don't weigh enough. And she's like, well, everybody in my league said that, my darts were too heavy, and if I go heavier, I won't get them to the board. I'm like, nah, that's nonsense. What I told her was that the heavier darts are going to straighten out some of the flaws in her release, and they'll fly straighter. So I walk her over to the dartzone.com's little shop, and I'm like, Bill, Can we set Lorraine up here and let her try some heavier darts, and if you have them front loaded, even better, because kind of the way she was releasing the dart, I'm like thinking they'll totally fly straighter. So I didn't get a chance to talk to her until the next day, and all of a sudden I heard somebody scream. I was just kind of sitting around, and I heard this, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, somebody must have hit something." Well, it turns out later it was Lorraine.
Yeah.
And in the first round of the mixed double, she knocked out the guy that's, year in and year out the best shot in Grand Rapids. Knocked him out of the mixed double. She shot an 82, and she hit her first dart at a double, and she literally almost did a breakdance, which would have probably required hospitalization
right.
By the time she was over. And I was so happy that because I felt vindicated, because literally I spent about 10 minutes with her, and then later, when I thought about it, I'm like, well, what I did for her is I gave her a professional dart fitting. The way you go to a dart or a golf pro and you get clubs fitted, I fitted darts for her, and they worked.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I know what I'm talking about. I mean, there are things that you could do to
they work
kind of
this
help
week.
your,
We'll have to see what happens next week.
Good, you brought that up, because in the mixed, the love of my life couldn't make it because she was stuck working the NATO summit in Chicago. And, one of my friends in Grand Rapids is like, well, if you want a girl, you could play with a friend of mine. She's new to darts, but, she really likes to play, and she plays okay. And I'm like, yeah, fine, hook it up. I'll play. I'm here anyway. I'll play. Well, shout out to Kara Shemansky, but she... we had a great time playing. She's a young girl, like, I don't know, she looks like early 20s or something. But she comes from a bowling background. So she's right-handed, but she stands with her left. No, she stands with her left foot forward.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that would have been funny. And everyone has been telling her to, get her feet straight. And she has stubbornly said no. This is, I do this from bowling. I like doing it this way. And she has a rationale for it. She's like, you do it the same way in horseshoes. You do it the same way when you throw anything else. Why should darts be any different? I'm going to do it this way. Fine.
All right.
I didn't take you on a raise. We're just, you're just my mixed partner for the night. You got to live with it. She played great. We had a great time. And I kind of watched her darts in the air because there were a few times that she threw some that didn't stick in the board. And eventually I said, well, you need heavier darts. And you're going to need a barrel that has a taper to it because you're new. You don't know what width barrel you need. And I gave her a professional dart fitting too. And then she was like, last I looked, winning the draw. So I succeeded. I'm 2 for 2 as a professional dart fitter. And some of these other pros out there ought to be thinking about this, because the thing with the first woman was all the people in her league telling her what was basically, to my mind, incorrect. And her fear that if the darts were heavier, she couldn't get them to the board. I'm like, well, of course you can get them to the board.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about, a 5% increase in the weight. That's inconsequential. And I told her, what you do is as soon as you get them, just throw them at double 20 for a while. And once you start hitting that, that's the furthest target you can hit. If you can hit that, you can hit anything.
And you'll get them to the board.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward. I'll go back in September and see how she did. But the professional dart fitting thing, I think, is we're going to have to talk about that more. I had a really good suggestion about a segment in the show where we could tell people and show people how to buy darts online. Because it's a relatively, I guess, intimidating thing, because you're basically buying something you've never tried, right?
Yeah.
So we can talk about the best way to go about that and stuff, and we're not gonna have time now, but that's something pencil that in for kind of later.
Well, seeing as you had such a good time in Grand Rapids, why don't we do?
Yeah, let's do the Grand Rapids results. Absolutely.
All right. So for Shoot the Rapids, we'll start with the women. The women's cricket doubles with the top two. Second place goes to Jenny Jones and Trina Powell, and Sue Cherry and Marianne Willis win women's cricket doubles. In women's 501 doubles,
let me just cut in.
Sure.
The cricket doubles for the women was like really awesome because those were locals, and as you'll see later, Trish Grezik basically won everything. And Jenny Jones and her partner beat Trish Grezik and June Leahy in top 4.
In the cricket.
I've never seen two people more excited about winning an event or winning a match than they did, although I think they dropped the final. And it's one of those things, I'm kind of rambling today. No, but, when you go to these smaller tournaments and the pros come from out of town, there's all this chatter about how it's not fair and la-di-da-di-da. That's what makes it worth everybody's while, is when you get a crack at a great player like Trish and you knock her off.
Right.
For whatever reason, if it was a bounce out or, whatever.
A win is a win.
But it's a win you remember.
Right.
You're not going to remember if you play somebody you've always played and you beat them yet one more time. Like, there were a bunch of guys from Chicago that were in St. Louis, a bunch of guys from Chicago that were in Grand Rapids. We're not going to remember playing each other. We play each other all the time. We're going to remember the matches against, the other people.
Yeah.
So that made it really cool. It was the camaraderie at this tournament was the best I've ever seen at a tournament. I swear to God, everybody had such a great time. But continue.
All right. Women's 501 doubles. Second place goes to Terry Nagy and Jody Faber, and first place goes to Trish Grezik and June Leahy. Women's cricket singles top 4: Shannon Streeter and Trina Powell. Second place goes to June Leahy, and Trish Grezik wins women's cricket singles. Women's 501 singles, I apologize, we only have Nicole, I don't have a last name, and June Leahy take top 4. Shannon Streeter, second place, and Trish Grezik takes women's 501 singles. Men's mixed doubles, second place goes to Don Jones and Tasso Garbus, and first place goes to Jason Barlow. Did I say mixed doubles, didn't I?
Yeah, it was mixed doubles.
Jason Barlow and Mary Beth Collins.
Yeah, and a shout out to Dawn Jones. I don't think she's been playing as often as she used to, but she knocked me and Carrie
out of the top 4.
Yeah, Goofy Foot.
Yeah.
And I can't recall a mixed doubles event where a woman played any better than Dawn did. She beat us by herself. She played so good. Oh, it was great to see. And also a shout out to Frank Detman and Jody Faber. They didn't win, but they played good. And Frank played probably almost as well as anybody else in the whole tournament, and just had, he had brutal draws in almost every event, and, it's good to see him playing well.
Right.
So shout out to you there, Dart Hack.
All right. Draw triples. Second place goes to Brian McKay, Ray Carver, and Trina Powell, and winner of draw triples is Dave DePriest, Danny Delfino, and Tasso Garbus. Draw doubles. Second place, Corey Matson and Dave DePriest, and first place goes to Robert Ham and Roy Barnett. Cricket doubles. Second place, Jason Barlow, Steve Panuncialman, and Ray Carver and Danny Delfino win cricket doubles. 501 doubles, Jason Barlow and Steve Panuncialman, and Ray Carver and Danny DeVito win 501 doubles.
Danny DeVito.
Did I say DeVito?
Danny Delfino.
That's what I said.
Who has a new nickname now?
Which is?
Is it Trainwreck or Choo Choo? I think it's Trainwreck. There's a story behind it. You'll have to ask him about it. But yeah, he played pretty well all weekend.
Is this where you missed all your diddles? That's why.
Yeah, between the two doubles there, and then the because the singles final was best of 5.
Right.
So in the 5-0 I lost to. Well, we didn't get to.
We haven't got there.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to lose a lot of diddles in the final again.
Cricket singles top 4: Dave DePriest and Brian Massey. Robert Ham gets second, and Steve Panuncialman wins cricket singles. And then in men's 501 singles, Frank Detman, Robert Ham, top 4, Steve Panuncialman, and the winner is Ray Carver. Yeah. Those are your Grand Rapids results.
Now ask me about the cricket singles.
The cricket singles?
Yeah, ask me.
What happened in the cricket singles?
All right, so Robert Ham is like a national youth champion who's almost, I think he just turned 21 a while ago. And he comes outside and he's like, well, this is my first final. I'm like, what are you talking about? So he's like, well, in like a bigger tournament, playing with the adults instead of with the youths. It was his first final.
Right.
And I'm like, well, good for you. And then his mother says, do you mind if I chalk? I'm like, no problem. I've never seen a chalker so mortified and petrified and nervous in my life.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brandy Ham's, a fabulous lady and everything, but she was just so nervous. If you took Robert's nerves and my nerves, multiplied them by a factor of like 1 below infinity, that was where she was. And then, she kept making like little 10 points off here or there, and she would just turn red, and I felt so bad for her. And
she was just so worried about screwing up?
Yeah. And it was just, it was an emotional thing.
Yeah.
Her kids playing in her first final and everything, and, it's kind of...
Might be the last time she chalks.
Nah, you had to be there. It was really nice. All the, kind of locals were watching and cheering him on and everything, and after his first 9 count, which I think was like his first 3 darts or something, everybody cheered, and then they sort of... I kind of turned around, and I'm like, hey, go ahead and cheer. It's fine with me, So, I don't know. It was pretty cool. You had to be there, but it was... for a little, kind of bar tournament and stuff,
right.
It was special. Swear to God. Let's take a break, and we'll I think it's only going to be about a minute and a half, and then we'll be right back.
Are you a gravelly-voiced, chain-smoking young poet with a raconteur bent? Do you find yourself passing out and/or waking up in seedy bars that some might describe as toilets? Do you find the mainstream American public has yet to recognize your musical genius? If so, you may be a child of Tom Waits. Now, if you think you are a child of Tom Waits, please write to us at the VH1 Archives, 1515 Broadway, 21st floor, New York, New York, 10036. Please remember to lick your own stamps so
T-bowing, insanity, planking, owling, Coney 2012. Trends spread across our nation as quick as wildfires, but fade even faster. If you or someone you know suffers from following trends, remember that no matter how hard you try to get rid of the evidence, chances are someone has proof. So the next time you think about jumping on a trend, remember how embarrassed you were when you found that video of your mom doing the Macarena. You're gonna have kids someday. Don't let that be you.
My name is Patrick Keavy, I'm from Eugene, Oregon, and you are listening to That Talk.
Okay, and we're back. Thanks to Patrick Kithy there for the little
absolutely
audio autograph. I'm going to try to collect one from every... I want one from all 50 states.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm going to get Alaska and Hawaii, but we're going to
figure it out.
It may take a while.
I would like to say that Dart Chick says, thank you for the tea. Would you like to expand on that?
Well, I was in Cleveland talking to Trish Grezik, and she was talking something about tea and going to sleep and stuff. Like, you know, I'm like, well, you can't drink normal tea. There's caffeine in it and stuff. But she likes a cup of tea in the evening. I'm like, Starbucks makes a really good tea that doesn't have caffeine in it. And caffeine free, and it kind of relaxes you. And it's, you know, I drink it sometimes if I can't get to sleep. So, and then that was in Cleveland. So that was like 2 weeks ago. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then I was in Starbucks Sunday morning, and I'm like, who did I talk to about tea? But I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the tea. And then, I was sitting around with Trish, and I'm like, did we have a conversation about tea? Because I actually thought it was for somebody in Syracuse, New York. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, hang on.
I got some for you.
So hopefully she likes it. Because,
well, she said thank you, so I believe that means she likes it.
Good. Well, good for her. I'm glad she's got a chance to listen to the show. I don't know how this is going to work with the Tuesdays, because it doesn't give me a whole lot of preparation time on the weekends that I'm playing.
Right.
And there was one other point before we get off. We talk more about Dallas, but the one thing, I have one beef about the Grand Rapids tournament. It's not like a big thing, but it's something that I think people we need to, all the dart players that play tournaments should probably get on the same page, and it has to do with the order that you put events. What happened to me? I had a pretty good weekend. I played all right pretty much all weekend, and I would play one event and then start the next event and then play one, and literally
the other one.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday I played practically, start to finish. Yeah, I played a lot of darts. It was fun and I enjoyed it. But the thing that kills me is that you're playing cricket, and then the minute you're done, they call you for an 0-1 match. Right. So I haven't had a chance to
throw doubles.
Yeah. Or to get prepared at all. And I'm fortunate insofar as I got so far in the events that
you have that problem. Right.
Yes. But the idea here that we're talking about is the people organizing tournaments, if they're really interested in people playing their best darts, need to look at the order that they run their events. Because if you're always going to have 5-1 after cricket, you're not going to get people playing their best 5-01. To go from 5-01 to cricket is, I can't imagine it ever being much of a problem.
Right.
Right? You don't have to worry about hitting doubles in cricket.
And you're already throwing at triples.
You're already throwing at triples, so what's the big deal? It's a much more natural thing to do. And what they do in Grand Rapids, I think, is they kind of flip-flop stuff around. There are people that argue that you should play the same event all day long, like have a 5-01 day and a cricket day. And I understand why tournament organizers don't want to do that, because there's a segment of the population that really only want to play cricket. And it's mostly soft tippers that come to a steel tournament. That's the event that they're going to be comfortable with, because cricket's cricket. And your point strategy is a little bit different, and you get more points.
So they want it on Sundays then?
It's not so much they want it on Sundays, but if you have a segment that only shows up for cricket and you have cricket on only one day, they're not going to show up on one day.
Right.
So I could see why tournament organizers would want to have cricket on the same day. It's just that they shouldn't be having it before 5-01. It should always be after.
Now, how do other tournaments do it?
They all kind of swap stuff around. I mean, this tournament, though, the way they do it, where they start Saturday with draw triples, which I'm not fond of, because you don't get in a really good rhythm, and then they go right to doubles and then right to singles. That's fine. But then they flip-flop it. So on Sunday, the first event is cricket singles. I don't even know how to warm up for cricket. Seriously. I mean, there's really no good way to do it. I mean, I think Larry Butler and Bob Seneve will play kind of a modified... It's kind of like a count-up game, where you throw 3 at every triple, and then you count how many marks you get, and whatever. You could play legs with somebody. That's a good warm-up. Like, if you could find somebody and say, hey, let's play, and then play until the event starts, that's about the only good warm-up that I can imagine. You know? But I don't like starting the day with singles. But what they do in Grand Rapids to make it fair is the women start... Well, no, actually they don't, because they have draw triples first. But, yeah, whatever.
Right.
I'm not terribly fond of that, but, you know, for tournament organizers, if they would stop doing that, I would be grateful.
Okay.
I'll send you a personal thank you on Dart Talk stationery, letterhead, if you would stop doing that. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
By the way, who do we have on Skype?
Yes, we have a special guest who has been very patient.
Very patient.
Who has an announcement about the Team Taylor Protege program.
Okay. What is that?
Well, we're going to have Jeff tell us.
All right.
But from what I understand, Phil Taylor has started some sort of a kind of training program where somebody's going to be able to Phil Taylor will pay his entry fee into the PDC Tour School and mentor him a little bit before the event. So, you know, the thought of getting like some personal tips personal attention from Phil Taylor and a photo op and stuff,
right,
and then going to the Q School sounds pretty cool to me. But it's the program's more involved than that. So let's see if we can get Jeff Goode on the line.
If he's still hanging around.
Hopefully he's still there and he could tell us about it. Are you there, Jeff?
Hey guys.
Try to speak up as best you can. Sorry for the delay. How are you, Jeff?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you.
Very well. Tell us about the Taylor Team Protege thing.
Absolutely. Taylor Team Protege program is a program that is designed to help all level players advance to every darter's dream, which is basically to become a PDC pro. What it does is it's all ages, all genders, youth, all the way through adult, participate in a 12-week program. And it's a practice program that Phil Taylor has developed. And at the end of the 12 weeks, you have a regional. And here in the States, we're going to do a regional. You can have as minimum of 4 people in a regional. And 1 person out of that regional will advance to nationals. Now, again, that's all ages, all genders. There's a $20 enrollment fee.
All genders?
All genders.
How many are there?
Well, it depends on who you ask. But the big thing is there's a $20 enrollment fee. There's a $10 per week fee for over the 12 weeks. All that money goes to travel for the regional winners. And then at the nationals, the national winner will have their way paid to the UK in January 2013. For 10 days, they'll have their transport and room and board paid for. They will go to a clinic put on by Phil Taylor himself. He will mentor them for a 4 or 5 day clinic. Then he will have playtime where basically he plays these people. There will be 16 players from around the world. And then he personally pays for the qualification school for those players to participate. If the North American winner advances and gets his PDC card, then he becomes a full card-carrying PDC professional. Now, one great thing is we're doing it only in North America. So only North Americans are eligible for this. United States, Canada, and 1 winner will go through.
I thought you were going to add the Arctic in there. Or, well, North America goes down how far south? I mean, Mexico and...
It does go through Mexico right now, and it's just including the United States and Canada. Okay,
you're fading out a little, Jeff, so speak up as best you can. So for the people that don't understand, let me just summarize this as best I can. In order to play PDC tour events over in England and in Europe, you have to go through their Q school and get a qualifying card. So it's like a little mini tournament, goes on for a few days, and once you get it, you're on the list and you're eligible to enter. And it works just like the PGA Tour. If you're number 144, or if you're number 145 and they already have 144 people, then you can't get in.
Unless somebody drops out.
Exactly, so you're first alternate. But then if you finish high enough, you know, la-di-da-di-da. So the idea here is for somebody to get their Q School card. Now, honestly, Jeff, what do you think... I mean, in my mind, because I've thought about this, in my mind, having a tour card isn't much good to anybody that can't go over and actually play the tour. I'm thinking a bunch of times to, make it worth your while and have a chance to, advance up the rankings. Am I right?
Correct. That is one problem. But currently, right now, I am working with some sponsors that are trying to step up. And if a North American does win his tour card, then that sponsor, what I'm working towards is getting that sponsor to assist them with living expenses to give them 1 year to stay on the tour full.
Okay, we're starting to lose you there,
I kind of got
Jeff.
that.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah.
Jeff, I don't know if you need to reboot or you kind of sat around too long there, but we'll try to get you on again next week with a better connection, and you can tell us a little bit more about it. That was Jeff Goode from Huntsville, Alabama.
Glad he waited.
Well,
it was a long time.
It was a long time, and we probably fried his laptop or something. But, the idea and the concept, I find intriguing.
Yeah.
The way we do the like we'll talk about like the ADO regional they just had to send somebody to the Winamau Masters, which last year, depends on who you ask, was some type of disaster, right? Not enough boards, and it's on an ice rink and all this stuff, and yet people are paying, $110 a piece to play in the ADO regional and then go to the nationals, and then to qualify and go over there, and of course it'd be great to do it. This seems to me to be like a better
avenue
investment of your time and effort, to have a formal development program leading to the PDC tour. I think is a larger goal than to just go to one tournament where you're going to play 500 people to get into the top 16, where 8 guys are sitting around already in the money and it's already guaranteed. Like, I'm not terribly enamored with the Winamau Masters the way they do things, but it's just to have a tour card and not be able to play on the tour is.
This is the first year he's doing this?
Yeah, this is
just
something.
Starting it up?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was originally designed, because the term protege kind of implies youth. I'm not sure if it's designed in England to get the younger people playing, which is what you really need.
Right.
I mean, one of the things that I always thought in Chicago was we never had an active youth program ever. And I heard people clamoring for it for a long time, and now that you're out of players, it's like, well, because you're not bringing in younger people. It's rough, I mean, there's venue problems and stuff,
right.
They're too young to be in bars and what have you, but, the idea of having a development program for the youth, and the PDC's been very aggressive about this. They have their own under-21 world championship and stuff that Van Gerwen lost. I don't remember who he played, but a career path in darts, starting from your teenage years. I mean, I can't imagine if I'd be any better if I started playing at, the age of 16 as opposed to when I did, which was what, like
43?
Well, I'm 27, but yeah, 41.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I took the game up very late compared to a lot of other people. And, I talked to a lot of people that came up through the youth, and it's kind of funny. I mean, some of them, maybe get burned out. You look at, like, the tennis players, like, especially the women tennis players that were coming up when they were 13 and 14, and then they need shoulder surgery at 19, shoulder surgery at 19 or what have you. And then, kids getting burned out and stuff. So, I mean, but the idea of starting something in America and linking it, with Phil Taylor, why not?
Sure.
I'll be a protege.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm not too old. I'm actually only a month younger than Phil Taylor.
Oh. Well,
but
that's some good information.
My arm is 30 years younger.
Right.
So I have to feel like I would have a stamina advantage, which is probably why he ducked me in Vegas a few years
I'm sure
ago.
that's why.
Did I tell you about that?
No, you have not.
I told somebody about that. I'm like the only American Phil Taylor's ever ducked.
You have that on record?
Yeah, it's documented.
Oh, okay.
It's documented. He was on my board and failed to appear.
Oh.
Just blew it off.
Said, I'm not playing that guy.
You know what? I'll forfeit the $10,000 because the thought of playing me was too petrifying for him.
I'm sure.
Anyway, maybe he'll show up in Chicago one day.
Probably with an explanation, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Where are we? We're just going on and on here. We're at the 43 and a half.
Yeah.
let's do the commercial early. We're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks to Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. We'll do like a minute and a half, real quick commercials, and then we'll be back for the fourth quarter here. If I could find some commercials.
How old is Wrigley anyway? Do you even have electricity?
It's powered by tradition, my friend. Something you wouldn't know about at Mobile Phone Park.
Someone should trim those weeds on your outfield walls.
It's called Ivy, as in Ivy League.
Or Bush, as in Bush League.
The only cleaning up your cleanup hitters know about involves cleaning supplies.
Is that your team ERA or your shoe size?
Your infield has more holes than a Swiss cheese donut.
The last Cub to throw a no-hitter was your pitching machine.
Even our handsomely coiffed ex-governor wouldn't try to sell a White Sox seat.
Last time your leadoff hitter got to second base was at his high school prom.
You know, I've heard that for the White Sox, DH stands for don't have talent.
Have talent is one word.
Yes, it is.
Do you realize your great-grandfather wasn't even born the last time the Cubs won a series?
You see this C? Stands for Chicago. All you got on your head is a stocking. Something puppies like to chew on for recreation.
Your logo is a cute little baby bear. I feel like I should give it to my daughter for her birthday.
Cubs are the strong foundation from which grows a mighty beast.
Wrigleyville isn't even real Chicago. Once you get north of Division Street, you might as well be in Wisconsin. Can't even get a decent slice of pizza. I had better pizza in New York.
This is Phil Freed. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and you're listening to Dart Talk.
I can't believe I played that commercial after the Cubs got swept. Shut out twice.
Played it for me. It's my birthday.
Oh, God. Talk about taking one for the team. It's the worst Cub team I've ever seen in my life.
They're
These
not
guys
good.
are absolutely inept.
They're not good.
And
it's going to be a while.
I had to play last night. I had to play a singles match, and they had the Cub game on, and I looked, and it's 0-0, and I went in, talked to my opponent, threw for like 5 minutes, come out, and they're losing 7-0.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? It's so bad. I mean, people are watching like EPL soccer or something. They're not even watching the Cub game anymore. They'd rather watch basketball on two teams that they don't even like.
Get used to it.
Put on a Cub
game. It's going to be like 3 years, at least, until they're even competitive.
He dissed the entire north side, too, in that commercial. We're going to have to replace that thing because I'm not liking it so much. We have results from Dallas, from the Metroplex Open, DFW Metroplex Open.
And somebody in the chat room says that Phil Taylor's plane was delayed. That is why he ducked you.
You know, just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true.
I didn't say it was true.
I got to tell you something. I'm getting a little irritated with I haven't been on Facebook much. I got to tell you, but I am going to really start ripping on Facebook's a social media. It isn't a marketing tool.
Right.
And, you know, I'll post stuff, I'll post links to the show in certain groups and stuff. But, I mean, there comes a point where if all you do is put promotional stuff on your social media, you're going to turn everyone else off from watching it and kill the whole thing. So I was going to post something in my status last week. I was going to say a true story. Guy's in downtown Chicago at one of the busiest intersections in the city, and he's running around naked, swinging a baseball bat, middle of State and Madison.
Really?
Yeah, swinging a baseball bat, just to and fro. So the cops come up to him, very careful, right? And they're like, "What are you doing?"
What bat was he swinging?
Louisville Slugger.
Oh, okay. I just had to ask.
Yeah, it wasn't an Adam Dunn thing.
No.
Well, maybe it was because he didn't hit anything.
Could have been his own bat.
Any Cub bat, apparently. No. So he's swinging a bat, and so the cops go up to him. Right, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And the guy's like, "Well, I'm promoting baseball." I'm gonna let that hang. Okay. So
no pun intended there.
The Dallas tournament had, I thought, some very interesting results. So I got the national ones here. You want to do like the normal events from?
Sure.
You do those, and I'll do this.
All right.
Okay.
So we got 2012 DFW Metroplex Open. We will do the top 8 of the Utes. Top 8, Joey Flores, Michaela Session, Julie Colm, and Benjamin Hendon. Top 8. Top 4 go Chris Morrison and Karina Reese. Second place goes to Connor Schlebach. I think I got that right. And then Jordan Vitale wins the Utes.
Okay, I was looking over your shoulder, but you were done by the time I found it. So, congratulations to all the
Found
Utes.
What? The Utes? Oh.
I was going to try to help you with the name, but I failed miserably.
Okay.
So I'm sure you did it well. So yeah, let's get on with the other events.
All right.
I'm curious about some of these. There were some interesting doubles teams that I've never seen before.
Mixed doubles 501. Second place Michael Hardy and Morgan McCormick, and I assume that's supposed to be Leonard.
Yeah, Leonard Soldier Gates. He's one of the top local guys in Dallas.
And Christy Davis win mixed doubles 501.
Alrighty.
Draw doubles 501. Chris White and Raul Tamez. Bill Davis and Steve Barlock win that one.
Okay, we'll get to Chris White in a minute. Keep going.
Okay, men's cricket doubles. Joe Cheney, John Beard gets second, and Ryan Vanderwheat and Jim Widmeyer take first. Ladies cricket doubles, Callie West, Robin Curry in second. Paula Murphy and Shay Reynolds win that event.
Well played, ladies.
Men's singles 501. Top four, DJ Sayer and Nick Lindberg. Second place goes to Joe Triples Huffman, and first place goes to Larry Butler.
All right, I know the guy's good, but now he has 3 nicknames. He's got Joe hits a lot of triples, he's got Joe Triples, and he's got Boom Boom. So at some point we're going to have to do rock, paper,
depends
scissors.
On which one you prefer to use.
Lizard Spock or something and pick one.
Right.
Hey, as far as the show's concerned, it's Joe hits a lot of triples. But well played to all those guys.
Ladies singles 501. Top four, Callie West and Sandy Hudson. Second place goes to Christina Cummings Medina. And Andrea Taylor wins ladies singles 501.
Okay. People have been on the show and they win tournaments. What does that tell you?
You should come on the show.
Get on the show.
Yeah. Mixed triples. Jim Widmeyer, Ryan Vanderwheat, and Robin Curry for second. And first place goes to Robbie Phillips, Shay Reynolds, and Scott Woolston.
Well, now there's a visual. Robbie Phillips and Scott Wollaston could go to Halloween parties as the number 10.
I don't know what
Robbie,
that means.
Well, Scott's round and Robbie's thin.
Oh.
The number 10.
Okay.
Never mind.
Or the number 1.
Just keep reading.
Could be the number 1 depending on which way they're standing.
The number 0-1. Yeah, they could go as a binary couple. Right, okay.
Draw doubles. Matthew Thompson and Monty Broadway for second. Larry Butler and Jimmy DeMore first place.
Okay, Saturday draw. It doesn't say what it was, but
01 cricket. What is that?
01 cricket choice. 01 cricket choice. If you win the diddle in the third leg, either you pick the game and go, or you decide if you say you want to go first, then the other team picks a game. It depends where you go for that. So,
all right. Men's doubles 501. Second place goes to Larry Butler and Chuck Pankow, and first place goes to Chris White and Alan Nutter. Ladies doubles 501. Second place goes to Brenda Rausch and Andrea Taylor. Paula Murphy and Shay Reynolds win that event. Men's singles cricket, top four, Leonard Gates and Tom Sawyer. Second place goes to Nick Lindberg, and first place goes to Patrick Kithy.
All right, well played, Patrick. Okay.
Ladies singles cricket, top four, Marilyn Pop and Callie West, and second place goes to Shay Reynolds with Paula Murphy taking women's singles cricket.
Princess Paula coming out on top. Well played, ladies.
And there you go. Did you want to say something about Chris White after all this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but, because he also did well in the Nationals.
Oh.
So, we'll talk about that. I have the national results, and again, we got to do something about the ADO not seeding these things. You got the group of death with the women. Every one of these is going to hurt their turnout at some point. I got to think. Where you have to, the way they run the nationals is you're in a group and it's round robin. But if you put the top 6 people in the same round robin, it isn't fair, really, because it isn't going to get the best players to wherever you want to get them because you're knocking them out early. It's much better to seed these things. And you could seed them in any... The ADO could seed them in any number of ways. You can go by past performance in other ADO regionals. You could do whatever you want. But do something. Because the guys' field is deep enough where there's really almost no way that you're not going to get in a loaded group. Because there's so many good players. But, the women's field isn't quite as deep. And it's just... I don't know. If I was a woman, I would be screaming at the top of my lungs. Anyway, what do we got here? I have the women's. I have the results from the women's national. So these are the round robin results. Marlise Keel and Betty Cunningham got out of one group. Shea Reynolds and Paula Murphy got out of another group that included Callie West, Lori Fowler, Brenda Rausch, and Person with Bye. Those people generally go undefeated.
They're tough.
Okay, so Shea and Paula got through that one. And Sandy Hudson and Marilyn Pop got through the third group. So there were 6 people in the women's final. And then the men had 4 groups where 2 people got through. And some of these groups, 10 people, 11 people, and 10 people. So they had 41 people. So 3 legs against everybody. You got to play 27 legs of round robin to get through to the final group. So stamina, I'm thinking, was an issue. One group, Joe Cheney and Timmy Bagley got through. The second group, Chris White and Eddie Moore got through. Third group, Joe Hits a Lot of Triples and Robbie Phillips got through. And the fourth group was Patrick Kithy. And then there was a tie for second place with Howard Myers and DJ Sayer, and DJ got the tiebreaker and got through that. And then in the women's final 6, there was a tie for first with Betty Cunningham and Shea Reynolds. I don't know how they broke the tie, but both Betty Cunningham and Shea Reynolds won trips to England to go play, represent America in the Winamau Masters. So congratulations.
All right.
Shea's having a real good year. The Dart Zones, can't wait to play with her in Nashville. And good going Betty Cunningham, too. Now, for the men, looks like there was 3 ties. Well, okay. There was a tie for first with Joe Hits a Lot of Triples and DJ Sayer. I don't know how they broke that, but they got DJ listed first. And then they had a 3-way tie for third with Chris White, Joe Huffman, Chris White, Timmy Bagley, and Joe Cheney. They had to play like a 3-person round robin to break that tie. So congratulations, Chris White, for winning that. Joe Cheney 4th. And then there are 2 alternates listed here. So Timmy Bagley and then Patrick Kithy. One heck of a tough group of guys, the final 8. And, I'm looking at this, and what I wanted to say about Chris White is kind of funny because he gives me a lot of guff, being a West Coaster. But if you look at his record, he doesn't get out much, and he pretty much only goes to nationals. His record in the nationals is as good, if not better, than anybody else's over the last 3 or 4 years, with the exception of Joe Huffman, who I think is 2 for 2.
Right.
And I think he told me his very first national, he won the national championship. So he does really good in these events, and he's not going to be ranked high in the ADO because he doesn't go out enough. He's not going to be ranked high in like the NABDA rankings probably because he doesn't go to every single tournament and stuff like that. But when the big names are on the line and the big tournaments are on the line, who shows up?
Yep.
When you're looking at who's on stage at the U.S. Open in Mohegan, who do you see? And he doesn't promote himself. I mean, he's got his own darts and he's got his website and everything, but he's not over there like, screaming and beating his chest or anything. The guy just goes out and performs. So, I don't know, very admirable. Well played, Chris and DJ and Joe Huffman and Joe Cheney. I think Cheney's been over there before, but you got 2 guys that have never been over there before, plus, I believe, Tom Sawyer and Tom Curtin are also going to be going out there because they got hurricaned out last year.
Oh,
so we'll be sending at least 6 guys, and then there are people that qualify that if they want to pay their own way,
they can go
to go play in an ice rink against 500 people to try to make top 8 and spend $1,000 of their own money to do that. Knock yourselves out.
Go for it.
I don't think I would even dream of it, but because Larry won the singles. And Howard Myers, I think, won the singles in Vegas. They get invitations. If they want to go, pay their own way, they can certainly pay. Now, I don't think the tournament pays enough for it to be worth anybody's while, but it's, I would think, quite an honor to be invited to go play on an ice rink.
Yeah.
Right? Just saying.
How do you throw darts on skates?
Very carefully, I would think. Although you could probably get to the board quicker.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the stance thing,
and
where you're standing kind of at a 45 on skates,
Might be a little difficult.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure, how that's supposed to work.
And then you skate up to get your darts and you spray the chalker?
Well, but the good thing about playing on an ice rink are there are not enough practice boards. You have to share a practice board with 25 other people. So, you got time to tighten your skates and, get the water bottle and, fix your, shin guards and pull up your socks and your suspenders and make sure that your jersey's buttoned down.
Find out where your opponent stands and you, nick the ice right there and give him bad footing.
Or kind of do the spray thing when you're coming back.
That's what I'm saying. You do that to the chalker every time you go out to get your darts.
No, what you do is you skate back from the board really fast, and then you kind of give the snow shower to the guy when he's on the line, and he can complain about how you're trying to distract him or something. Yeah, nice. We should talk about stroke. You remember where we left off? We were raving about. It was funny.
Well, you listed a bunch of different strokes.
I did, and Ray Carver's been playing so well, and I've actually had a chance to observe him very closely over the last because he was in Kentucky
hitting
diddles. I was kind of hoping we'd be off the diddles by now.
Sorry to bring it up again.
Well, no, but I actually got it, because Ray's been one of the most consistent performers for 10 years or so, and I got a chance to watch his stroke, and I came up with another criteria, and that is. You have to have one of the things that makes Van Barneveld's stroke so good is his release is so consistent every time. And if you look at somebody's hand position, we don't really have a lot of time to sit there and watch someone play for hours. But what you will notice with the most consistent professionals is that their release looks the same every single time. And, what happens, to me especially is, if a dart kind of gets stuck or something, you'll see it in my release. It'll just look different. And if you don't have, high-speed photography or what have you, you're not going to be able to, really determine it. But something will catch your eye and be like, well, that didn't look the same. That's something that I cannot believe about Van Barneveld. Everything looks the same. Even the ones that don't go in look the same. But that's something that what I'm going to do with the stroke thing.
Any one of the lists that you have, as long the bottom line is have a release point as consistent as possible.
Well, I didn't say release point. I said a consistent release.
Oh, okay.
Because what that tells you is that you're delivering the dart the same way every time. And when you see guys that some of their darts corkscrew a little bit in the air. Or they'll go in at one angle and then another angle, and okay, if they're having a good day, it may go in. But that is an indication of a flaw in their stroke, and particularly a flaw in their release that would disqualify them from being the stroke we should all emulate. Right?
Yeah.
But that's something that hadn't occurred to me. Is the consistency of the release. We're talking about the follow through and stuff, but it's the consistency of the release that makes somebody one of these top British guys, what they are.
So good.
Well, it's one of the components that makes a great player. And I rewatched a DVR thing of James Wade, and every now and then he'll have these funny releases where the dart gets stuck or something like that. And I actually saw Taylor just a couple of times, kind of waffle a couple. And so I played it back literally 25 times to see where he lost it. And he's actually losing it when he's bringing the dart back.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to go, argue with me, go look at the Nicholson-Taylor match that was on the other night if you DVR'd it and take a look at that. And it's kind of interesting. Are we over an hour already?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we're going to have to do more stroke next week because I'm out of breath. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm glad you liked your little donut. It's got sprinkles.
I know. I see
I
that.
didn't have time to get you anything nice
That's
because
all right.
I was busy.
This was nice enough. I liked the intro. That was good.
Did you like the intro?
Yeah.
That was the Chipmunks.
I didn't know that, though.
Didn't know that?
Was it? All right.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's sign off.
What's the next tournament for you, real quick?
Oh, right. I forgot. I'm going to go to the Bull Shooter this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that is. We already said that.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
You mentioned something about Nashville. That's why I was thinking it was coming up. But you're going to the Bull Shooter this week.
Going to the Bull Shooter. I'm going to watch some of the soft tippers play. I'm going to play a little bit myself. I have it on good authority. I can just throw my normal steel tip darts.
Right.
And the new boards don't care. So that'll be cool. I'll just throw my steel tip 26-gram darts.
Nice.
And it's nice to know that these boards are totally invulnerable now to something like that. The fact that I don't have to change my darts and that they're playing split bowl 501, it's just like a long 3-on-1 game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, no, seriously, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to pay attention and see if I could learn something about soft tips. So we'll do some results from the bull shooter next week.
Okay.
And there's something else going on this weekend. Can't remember what it is, but we'll get results.
We'll have it for you next week.
When we get the results, you'll have them here. The Sports Center of darts.
Savannah.
Oh, that's a fun tournament. I've heard that tournament is so much fun. Unfortunately, it's in Georgia.
Is that a problem?
Which is, well, I can literally take the subway to the bull shooter.
Yes, exactly.
The subway does not extend to Georgia.
Right.
Although I must say, just like to yak, I took the Amtrak to Detroit on Wednesday, and I have not taken an Amtrak literally since the late 80s. You know, when I was like 4 years old.
Right.
And it was really cool. You know, the
Train
seats reclined. There's more legroom than an airplane, and they had electrical outlets, so you could have your laptop plugged in the whole time. And I'm going to have to start thinking about, you know, whether or not it's worth it to take the train to some of these events. You know, because it's a relatively painless way to travel. It takes a long time.
Right.
You know, I don't know about taking a train to Seattle or something. Probably takes like 2 days, and you end up looking like one of these protesters. They were wandering around my neighborhood last night. So, the Great Unwashed. They look like a bunch of hippie backpackers. But like I was telling my buddy, it's like, hey, you know, protesters, you know, most people don't have time, or they would.
Right.
You know, lots of people would be happy to protest if they had time to, you know, pay the mortgage, feed the kids, what have you.
Apparently there's stage 3 of the world this weekend, too.
Stage 3 of the world. That's interesting. That's an interesting little, well, because, oh yeah, we're going to have to wrap it up. But what I understand is, like, if you sign with one soft tip company, then you can't play in the other guy's tournaments.
Right.
I've lost track now of who's banned from what. But it gets to the point where maybe the players ought to get together and say, you know what? Either you stop this or you know, we're not going to any of your tournaments, and you guys can all, you know,
figure it out.
Deal with amateurs.
Deal with something else.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems to me that the players never seem to have any control over anything. And until the players really start getting together, they never will. And, you know, we're all independent contractors.
Right.
You know, we're all basically, you know, especially when we're playing, we're against each other. I'm trying to beat him, he's trying to beat me. But, you know, when the tournament is over and then you're colleagues and you have common interests, you want more prize money, you want the tournaments run more regularly, you want longer formats, what have you, you want seating. All the
like
players agree on this. Well, we'll talk about it some other time. I'm just saying, it's like, because I heard a lot about, you know, guys getting banned. Hey, look, that's restraint of trade. Okay? I'm not a lawyer. I'm a couple hours short of my law degree. But it seems to me that it's like, now wait a minute. You're banning professionals from playing in your tournament only because of this and only because of that. Same thing with like the BDO nonsense with the PDC. Well, if you play this, you can't play that. At some point, the players need to get together and say, you know what? Enough's enough. Look at Major League Baseball. The minute they had a union, right? It was like, okay, the players now have a say.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're not going to do this. You can't just do anything you want, you know, without us agreeing, without us signing off. I'm not talking about anarchy or socialism or anything. I'm just saying, look, you know, the players should have a voice because, especially in darts, it's the players that pay for everything, right?
Yeah.
Between what they spend in the restaurant and what they spend on hotel rooms and what they spend in entry fees, it's the players that bring all the money in. And it's not just the locals. The traveling players end up spending more on this stuff than the locals. Right? People are worried about locals who go to one tournament a year. How many tournaments, you know, is Larry Butler going to? 30?
A lot. Right.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like his expenses are higher than anybody else's. You know, I mean, so there's issues here. You want to grow this sport and everything. I mean, you know, you need to talk to the players and not talk to them as adversaries, but, like, you know, how can we improve things? You know, because, you know, they do have a lot of interesting ideas, a lot of good things to say. And, you know, like the tournament in California. right, they held the finals. You know, I got to talk to a couple of people this weekend and see. I couldn't really get a good picture of how that worked out. It sounded like it worked out good.
Right.
But if you don't know that you're going to play on Sunday and you're in the final on Friday night, you're kind of like, what, you know, because day to day you may play differently. You know, I think it's better to have the final, you know, the end of the same day.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
instead of 2 days later.
Yeah, I think you're going to end up with a better quality of play.
Right.
And it's going to be more reflective of what somebody did to win the event. Like they did the Nationals here, where you played 27 legs around robin. Okay, now you got your 8 finalists. You're going to have them play Sunday. Who knows if it's going to be the same 8 players that, you know what I mean, that got through.
Right.
Right, so I don't know. We probably should talk about that. Let's wrap it up, though.
All right, sorry to get you off on that rant to end the show.
It wasn't really a rant.
It was a mini rant.
Mini rant. Yeah.
It was a mini rant.
It's the cold.
So, all right, other than that.
Everybody, thanks for listening. Everybody in the chat room, thanks for your participation. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7:30 Central. For Mystery Mark, Steve Pronunciaman signing off, and we will dart talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, safe travels everywhere you go.